Hi, sixth graders. Today we are going to remind ourselves how to divide when we have decimals in the divisor and or the dividend. So we're just going to do some warm-up problems, and remember at least one of these might be a freebie for you on your must-do assignment for today. So I recommend grabbing a piece of paper, pausing this video, make sure you're ready so you can write down our work and maybe even get some answers for free. So the first one we're going to do is 6.2 divided by 5, or we might read it 6 2/10 divided by 5. The first thing to do is set up our division box. Once I have my division box, I need to decide which number goes inside the box and which number goes outside the box. The dividend always goes on the inside and the divisor goes on the outside. A quick way to remember this is whatever comes first, or whatever number is on top in a fraction, gets the box. It goes inside. It's the stronger number, it's the bigger number, it's the early bird who gets the worm, whatever you want to think of it. So the 6.2 is the dividend. I'm going to put it inside the box, and I'm dividing by a 5 outside the box. The first thing we want to ask ourselves before we dive into division is, are there decimals in the divisor? So that's the number on the outside. We don't want to be dividing by decimals because then we have to know decimal multiplication facts. And I don't know about you, but I haven't learned any decimal multiplication facts by heart. So do we have any decimals on the outside? The answer is no. We just have a whole number. It's 5. I know my 5's facts, so I'm going to dive into the math. So how many times does 5 go into 6? The answer is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. And 6 minus 5 is a leftover or remainder of 1. Since I have more digits, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to bring down my 2. 5 goes into 12 twice. I'm going to put my 2 up top. 5 times 2 is 10. And 12 minus 10 is 2. Now, before we were dividing with decimals, this might have been where somebody stopped. They might have said their answer, remainder 2. But since this is decimals, we know that in decimals, we can use placeholder zeros so that we can continue to divide until we no longer get a leftover or remainder. So let's add a 0 after the 2. Now, 6.20 has the same value as 6.2. So we didn't change the number. We just added a placeholder 0 to make it a little bit longer. Let's bring down my 0 and see if that's enough. How many 5s go into 20? It's exactly 4. So I put my 4 up top. It's exactly 20. And now I have no more leftovers. Remember, we don't want decimals and remainders because decimals are just another way to write remainders. We should be able to keep dividing with decimals so that our answer only has decimals. Now, if I leave it like this, I said my answer was 124, but that doesn't even make sense. 5 doesn't go into 6 and some leftovers 124 times. That's a crazy big number. We got to remember to bring up our decimal into our answer. So my answer is 1 24 hundredths, which makes a lot more sense. Let's try this again with a new problem. 57.5 divided by 0.92. So I'm going to figure out which goes in my division box. The top dog gets the house, the early bird gets the worm. So 57.5 is our divisor, and 57.5 is my dividend, and 0.92 is my divisor. Okay, are there decimals on the outside? A big resounding yes. So we need to get rid of these. We're going to multiply by 10 or 100 or 1,000, which the shortcut is to slide over the decimal point. So I want to multiply this by 100, which means I'm going to slide this decimal over 2 times. Now I have a number 92, which is a lot easier to divide with. So if I moved it twice in that number, I'm going to move it twice in this number. Any empty seat, I can fill up with a 0. Now this gets really messy, so I'm going to switch colors and I'm going to rewrite my math for us. I always like to rewrite my problems so that I keep my work nice and neat. So now on the outside, I have a 92. And on the inside of the division box, I have 5,750. You can write the decimal point here if you want. You can leave it out. It's up to you. We might need it in our answer. We'll just have to see. Okay, how many 92s go into 5? Well, my answer is none. You can put a placeholder 0. I like to just start with a little x. How many 92s go into 57? Still none. I'm going to put an x. Okay. Now I'm at this step. How many 92s go into 575? Now I'm thinking 92 is close to 100, and this is almost 600, so let's try 6. Let's try 92 times 6. Let's see how close we get. 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 9 is 54, plus 1 is 55. Ooh, 552. I think that's as close as we can do. So let's write our 6 up here. 552 is my answer. Let's subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 7 minus 5 is 2. We were only 23 off, which is not too bad. Let's bring down our 0. Okay, how many 92s go into 230? Well, if I round this up to about 100, this rounds down to about 200. So let's try a 2 fact. 92 times 2. Before 184. I think that's about how close I can get. So let's put our 2 up here. 184. Let's subtract. I have some regrouping involved. 10 minus 4 is 6. 12 minus 8 is 4. We were only 46 off. Okay, now because I have a decimal point, I know that I can keep going, so I don't want to keep a remainder. I'm going to make sure my decimal is nice and dark so I can see it. Let's add a 0 and keep going. Okay, 92 and 460. Well, 6 of them took me into the 552 range, so let's just knock one off and try a 5 fact. So let's try 92 times 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 45, 4. I got exactly 460. So my 5's fact worked. 460. No more leftovers. Now my answer is not 625. Slide up the decimal, and my answer is 62.5. Let's try one final problem together. So our last problem today is 17 and 5/10 divided by 12 and 5/10. So let's get our division box. 17.5 is my dividend inside, and 12.5 is my divisor outside. So if I look at this, I say to myself, I don't know my 12.5's fact. So let's move that decimal point over. Move it over once. If I moved it in this number once, let's do the same thing in the other number. And I'm going to rewrite this. So now I have 175 inside and 125 outside. Okay, 125 does not go into 1. It's already over. I like to put my little placeholder mark. 125 doesn't go into 17. I'm asking myself, how many 125s go into 175? Now, let's see. This rounds down to 100. This rounds up to 200. Let's try a 2. 125 times 2. Let's see. 5 times 2 is 10. 5. Ooh, that's only 250. Let's try a 3 fact and see if we get closer. 125 times 3. Ooh, this looks promising. Got 375. That was too tall. That was too high. Huh. Well, let's see. I picked some numbers that were bigger and they were already too big. I guess it has to be a 1. I kept thinking it must be something else. 125 times 1 is 125. Interesting. 125. Okay. Got 50. I must be able to keep going. Let's add our invisible decimal point, add a 0, and keep going one more step. Oh, man. Sometimes we try a lot of work and it doesn't work. Sometimes we try numbers that are too big and it doesn't work. Numbers that are too small and it doesn't work. Okay, well, 3 of them wasn't enough. Let's try 4. 125 times 4. 20. Oh. 500 exactly. So we got 4. It was 500 exactly. No leftovers. My answer is not 14. Don't forget, we need our decimal. And we put it in our answer as a 1.4. So we solved a bunch. I showed you just how complicated our scrap paper might get today. So we're going to have math facts on the side. We have math facts that are wrong. We had math facts that were too high, math facts that might be too low. So I want you to make sure you give yourself plenty of space to show this work on scrap paper so that we can take a photo and attach it to our work today. Good luck, do your best, and feel free to rewind this or use some of these answers in the work for your freebies. Good luck.